Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's Maureen with the Rising Star Book Club. Well, it is an amazingly fun day today. I have Bill Bloom with me, and Bill Bloom book came out last night, yesterday. And now, of course, we're international bestseller, and we'll have to give you the update of how many countries because we're still counting. And so Bill's book is he's a retired income certified professional out of Chicago. And his second book is Money Habits for Success. And I read it last night. And you need to get a hold of it so you can get a hold of your finances, whatever age you are. Welcome, Bill, and congratulations.
Thank you, Maureen. This is such an honor. Yesterday was such an amazing day with the release of my latest book. And it's just been like a whirlwind 24 hours having the release, and just been so much fun connecting with so many great people such as yourself throughout this process.
I'm going to say you're a trooper because, again, you're still in the whirlwind of it because your sales are still piling in. So we're really grateful to have you on such an early stage of this rise because you are going far and fast. So let's get into this because this book is really, it's about people taking control of their finances, which is so important. And for whatever reason, we just don't talk about money. So tell me, to get the title of the book, the who it's for, and then what was your motivation behind writing it?
Yes, and thank you for that. So the title of the latest book is Money Habits for Success. And we also have the Your Money Journal. The book is all about education. I mean, we go through our educational system and we don't learn about money. We don't learn about how money can work for us. I mean, we learn about, it's the dream to buy a house and have a car and all these other things. I mean, these are dreams that take you into debt. But what about getting ahead? What about your own financial future? So I wanted to create a book, and that's what was released yesterday, all about helping high school students or college students understand the basics at such a young age, because we're not taught these things in the educational systems here in America. So that was a big motivation for myself, is just to create a simple message for a high school student all the way up to someone who wants to retire or a baby boomer, so that they can learn how to take control of their money. And it's all about your habits, the things that you do every single day. And I write down where I spend my money. And people say to me all the time, like, you actually write it down? And I go, yes. So I know where my money is going. And that's been a big premise of the book, the education. That's what I do on a day-to-day basis. And it's just been a great experience.
Well, and I love that you're leaning in and leading and supporting our youth. But the book is for any age, right?
Absolutely. It could be a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, 50, 75. It was written for anyone to be able to pick up the book, read it in a couple hours, and just understand the basics and the principles of how to be encouraged and how can I actually take action? And that's what the Money Journal is all about. The book is the educational piece and the journal is the application piece, because you need to act. It's just like anything else. If you have a goal, you need to act to do it. It's just not going to happen magically. And the same is true about your money.
Well, and in the book, you really lead people along slowly, but with direction. There's absolutely purpose in the book for them to take control of their finances, especially in conjunction with the journal.
Absolutely. And going through the writing process, it was kind of daunting to me because there's so many things about money that I could have written about. And like, I do retirement planning on a day-to-day basis, and there's a lot that goes into that. But from the beginning, if you don't know where your money is going, it's really difficult to know where you're going, because your money is a byproduct of how you want to live your life. I mean, you could aspire for greatness and having a lot of money, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Or you could be very comfortable saying, you know what, I want to get my house paid off. I'd like to have income coming in for retirement and live a simple life. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But either way, you still need to know where your money is and where it's going on a day-to-day basis.
Well, and what the power of the book is that you're guided through this, but at the end, you're given back control.
Mhm. Right. You could take the time, and it's just a few moments a day, ladies and gentlemen. It's not taking hours a day. It's just being aware of what you're doing. And that's the same of your time, like how much time do you spend on your phone, on your computer, on email, so on and so forth, watching TV. We don't pay attention to this. A lot of the times we go through our days unconsciously, and spending is a big part of that. Between your credit card and debit card, everything is so incredibly easy to spend. But whatever's easy to do is also easy not to do. So it's easy not to spend money too if you start to understand you need to have that money work for you in a different manner so you can retire.
So let's go into that a little bit. I love how you're reversing like something like the concept of compound interest can actually have it work for you. So you have starting points of say someone in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and then retiring. Can you go into that a little bit? If someone start to say, well, I don't know, I can only save $50 a month. What does that matter?
Absolutely. So there are calculators out there. If you don't understand compounding interest, most people don't, and that's okay. But again, it goes back to more, like what we mentioned before. We don't learn this in school. So if let's say you're 20 years old, you just start working and you want to invest $50 a month. That $50 a month is so incredibly important because that 20-year-old has a high probability of living to almost 100 years old. So if you let that compound and grow for, let's say, 80 years potentially, that's fantastic. And if you're consistent about saving money and investing money, that's where the magic happens. That same $50 from a 20-year-old is going to be a lot more if you wait till you're 30 to start investing. So that $50 a month could turn into $150 a month or $200 a month. And then if you wait till 40, it could be $500 or $600 a month to have the same results over that time frame because you have less time working for you if you start later. And kids really aren't taught this. And that's why I wanted to create this book to help people understand, start now, don't wait. And there's a big fear around investing. We had 2008 and 2018 and this year with the pandemic. But again, if you don't start, you're going to be dependent on, potentially your government or your family. And that's fearful to me, to be reliant on someone else. You want to be self-reliant.
So, you walk the talk. So you graduated and came out in that horrific economy of 2008. You had like $54,000 worth of student debt.
Yep.
And tell people what your focus was and what you were planning to do. And oh my God, your first job that you didn't even get paid for.
Yeah, that's true too. I became a financial advisor right out of college. That's what I wanted to do. And that was in 2008 of all years. But, in hindsight, that was a blessing to start then because I learned about money quickly. When you have debt, no income, and you had to create your own income. I created my own income. It was hard, but I really focused on interest rates on my debt. I didn't buy a house right away. I stayed at home for a little bit of time. I didn't go out and have an apartment right away or get a car loan. I wanted to keep my expenses as minimalistic as possible and to make things manageable because that self-gratification thing, things can wait. But my student loans, I had a 7% and an 8% and other loans that had a 5% interest rate on it. Those are so high. So I focused when I had like quarterly bonuses, I would pay off those student loans in chunks. So instead of spending that money, I mean, I also was focused on getting rid of my debt, but I also set goals for myself. And this is what a lot of people don't do, is they don't want to set a goal. And I set goals to do certain things inside of my newly started business when I was 22 and 23. And I reached those goals and I celebrated some of them. Like I did go out and travel the next year. Because I got rid of a lot of those student loans, I was able to travel the next year and take business trips and learn from other people. So I felt like I had a great balance, to be frank with you, because I was in control. And I just really wanted to get rid of those student loans. And I was able to accomplish that in a little bit over 3 years, just because of focus.
So again, it's about shifting from being overwhelmed to taking control. And there's a lot of power in that.
Absolutely. The power is in the goal setting. It's truly in your goal setting. So my goal was to have those student loans paid off within 5 years. And I was able to do that in over 3. And that's where if I had an extra couple hundred or a couple $1,000 from a quarterly bonus or whatever that was, I try to pay those off instead of spend it.
So, okay, so someone's picking up your book, because everyone, you got to get the book. And yes, the journal is a must have. So with getting your book, right, you're having students are coming out of, okay, we're in a possible real recession coming on. We're aware of that with the pandemic and a slowdown in our economy and many people at home. So people are frightened, people are feeling overwhelmed, and you have students coming out in another economy where they have student loans, and oftentimes they're actually being solicited by credit card companies to just take it out, and there'll be some future where you pay it back. Can you share with us what the reverse of that looks like, and how your thinking is able to transform them back into having control?
Well, credit cards were created for emergency purposes. And these companies became very smart and saying, well, people are using them like a debit card, and we're going to offer you points or rewards and all these other things. My theory on that, and this is my thought process, is that creates overspending, because I'm going to get points for this. It's okay, but it still means money's leaving your pocket. And, how many hours do you need to work at your job to pay for that watch or to pay for that sweater or your t-shirt or shoes or jeans or whatever the consumption is? Like, how many hours of your life do you need to spend at your job, if you're not a business owner, to pay for something like that? Like, reverse that. And after taxes too, because you have to take out the taxes, and most people don't think like that. So therefore, you're spending a lot of your time, maybe a week's worth of work, to pay for something that you may or may not need. So that's powerful to understand what you're doing with your time, because obviously our time is our most valuable asset, in my opinion.
Well, and then you go into that a little bit further. You talk about even people who have, no money down, no payments, 36 months, right? Go into that, how that still is a trap.
Right. So let's say if you're going to take out a car loan for 72 or 84 months and you have a 0% interest. So you're thinking, I've heard this, I don't believe this, but they say it's free money. Well, you still need to pay for it. Every single month, you're still going to have a payment. That's not free money. It's costing you something. And let's say in 3 or 4 years from now, if you want to get a new car, it's going to cost you money to get out of that loan. So you might be upside down on your loan as well. So again, look at the amortization schedule. Look at what it's going to actually cost you over that, 5, 6, 7 year period that you're taking this loan out for, especially if something happens to that vehicle, for instance. You could be upside down on your loan and you could owe more than what that car is worth because you're stretching out those payments for so long.
So, and then you also go into that, similar to when you're at a buffet and your eyes are bigger and you put more stuff on your plate. When you have that not tangible, literal cash in hand, you tend to spend more when it's that, what did you call it? You didn't call it imaginary money. What did you call it?
Well, I think it's like the way that I think of the spending in that sense, it's unconscious. You're unconsciously spending your money. I mean, it's so simple to walk down the street. Oh, I see a coffee shop. I mean, I do this. I'm guilty of it. So don't get me wrong here, but I'm aware because I write it down. But you can go into the coffee shop and then, oh, if you add a pastry, a donut, that's an extra $4, $5. Because we live in Chicago, it's expensive. And then when you go to lunch, that could be $20 to $25. Or if you go out and have lunch with someone else, that could be $50. It's like, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis that's growing your debt? And using your credit card could be doing that because it's so easy to use it. You don't have alerts that say, hey, you might be overspending. The companies aren't going to do that for you. So just being very, very aware of where your money is going is the key, and not spending unconsciously.
So, and then you go into that, you actually have a solution for that about having money in hand, literally. And,
Yes.
and that do you call it your fun money?
The fun money, yes.
Yeah, you did. Okay, good.
Yep.
So let's go into that concept, because it's brilliant. It's simple, but it's brilliant and it's empowering.
Thank you for that. I was taught this. I didn't create this. I cannot take credit.
Okay.
But one of my clients are very successful people. What they do is they have $500 a month cash. They put it in an envelope. And they have more income than that every month. But what they do is they use that to go out to a restaurant, go to lunch. That's the fun money, as you had mentioned, to go out and do those things that you want to do, whether it's go have a coffee or have your lunch break. But once that money runs out at the end of every month, you need to stop, because all your other money could be working better for you. You could be investing that money or saving that money for a house down payment, or buying a car cash, or your house cash, instead of taking out a 30-year mortgage and really understand how much interest you pay over that 30-year period. So the fun money is really, really crucial, because when you have cash at hand, you're actually aware of what you're doing, because you actually physically have to hand over that $5 that you worked for that cup of coffee that you might not need. You see the theory here?
And you can hold on to it, because you don't need money you actually got to hand over. And once the envelope is empty, the envelope's empty.
Correct.
So you had spoke about in the beginning that, okay, people are saying, listen, the economy can be erratic, and there's ups and downs. And so really, is that the place for my money? But can you go over about how equity and vehicles of investment over a long period of time is actually the smart way to invest your money?
Well, if you diversify your money properly, that's important. I think instead of picking the best stock or the best mutual fund, there's thousands of them. It's really difficult to pick the best performing one every year. It's more about consistency and automation. So therefore, instead of spending that extra $100 a month, how can you automate that to be invested right out of your bank account into your investment account? That's a really small, simple step that doesn't take that long to set up, to help you, automatically put money away for your future. And again, if you're consistent, that's the key, in my opinion. It's all about consistency, because you're not seeing the money every single day come out of your bank account. You're seeing it, okay, it's going into investments. And that's where working with a professional or self-educating yourself is so key.
So again, we're going to go into the books at the end, because I love the list. But you kept mentioning in your book. Now, this book is for everyone. It's a matter of fact, the younger you start, the better. However, you did mention a few times you actually love working with people who are planning or who are retired. Tell us how that is how that's different.
It's so different. I'm not the best advisor, financial advisor, to be working with someone who is 20 years old or 30 years old. There are other financial advising companies who really specialize in that area. I'm not that person. I love working with people who are 50 and older and helping them create income from their resources, from their investments and their businesses, if they have a business or if they're a business owner, and having them have lifetime income from those resources. That's what I specialize in. That's where my brain works. I'm able to reverse engineer what they want to see happen with their investments if it's feasible. And I learned this really early on in my career because in 2008, in 2009, I really leaned on mentors and people who could help me so I could help other people. Because at that time, everyone wanted someone to talk to. They didn't know what was going on. Like, it was really, really tragic for their investment accounts if they made some unfortunate changes or decisions. But again, if they would have stayed the course, history shows we did well during the past 10 years, but it was a really interesting time for me. So I learned from an early age in the business that I wanted to focus on retirees.
Okay, I love this. So there's two ways that you're standing in your leadership and serving others. First, this book started to help our youth and everyone in between get a handle and control of their finances. And now you're also then, but your really favorite group is allowing people to retire with dignity and power and living the way they want. There's just so much giving in that, generous giving.
Thank you. As we say, as you can see on my shirt, retire as you desire. That's my motto. That's how we live our lives. And we are a giving firm. It's all about the people. Whenever we're working with clients, we're super grateful for them. And all of the planning that we do is about them because we use technology that shows them if they have any problems with their plan or if there's going to be gaps in their income for what they want. And we're able to put those little fixes in place so that they can have retirement with purpose and they can enjoy their lives with purpose. And again, when you go to retire, it's all about what you want to do with your time because time is our most valuable resources. And I want to free up people from working so that they can have purpose with their lives again. And that's our focus.
So you mentioned a little bit about mentors.
Yes.
And I absolutely believe that mentors are crucial to stepping into your purpose and then also then achieving whatever that vision is. So tell us about the role of mentors in your life. And I know the other thing is that even if it's not a mentor that you've met, you're an avid reader. So tell us how important that is.
Oh, it's so important. I mean, self-education is such an important tool for your brain, for your body, for your soul. If you're not learning every single day or trying to get better, you're regressing, unfortunately, because you really need to keep pushing yourself as a human. And I think that comes back to your purpose. Having purpose every day to become better, to be grateful, to surround yourself with happy people and people who share the same values as yourself. Those are the people who become my clients. It's a direct correlation because that's the energy we're putting out. Those are the people who we want to attract as happy people, people who want that guidance or they want a financial mentor and who are grateful for their significant others, their families, their lives. And when I was young, I realized I needed help. I didn't know what I was doing when I was 22 and 23. I mean, I was just out of college, but that's why I brought people who have worked in the industry for 20, 30, some of them 40 years. For 40 years, I mean, that's a long time. So I was able to learn from these men and women of the industry, and they taught me how to do things the right way. So that was so crucial. And I gave up some income from that, but I learned And that was so much more valuable. It wasn't about the money. It was about the time and how to plan and how to work with people. That was invaluable in my eyes.
And you talk about, oh, well, let's just take a little bit of that of people living and how much money should you really have for how many years? You put a number in. There was a scale that gives us now the potential. Oh, it's an insurance scale, right? It was an insurance actuary type piece of how long people live for. Tell them like what on the top scale of where there can be expect people. What is that number?
Well, children born today have a high probability of living until their 120s, 130s. And that's by David Sinclair. He's a Harvard professor on longevity. So I read his book about this, and it was just mind-boggling to me. But we know we're living longer because of technology and medicine. That's nothing new, but people are not planning for their money to last that long. And that's where the issue is. So whenever we're doing a retirement income plan, we want to plan for our clients to have income to at least 100 years old, at least, because let's say if we have a husband and wife and they both live to 65, there's a 25% chance that one of them will live till age 96.
Wow.
So we need to plan for at least 100, and that's what we do with all of our clients.
I think that's just so, I mean, in one side, it's so fabulous to consider the possibility of what that would be, continuing to have that much time, but not being prepared financially could be devastating.
Absolutely. It's so true. And it could be devastating if you don't plan for 100 or 105 or 110. That's why one of my favorite questions that I started asking people this year was, what's the oldest person living in your family?
Mm.
And think about that. I mean, I don't know about you, Maureen, but on my side of the family, we haven't had someone live until their 90s in a long time. But it comes down to your health as well. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you eating well? Do you exercise? There's so much that goes into it. But we want to plan from a financial aspect to have you live to at least 100 years old, or have your money potentially last that long with certain investment vehicles that could help with that. So that way, if you do live till 90 or 95, your income could be there for you. And that's important. So when you ask people, would you like to run out of money? Obviously, the answer is no. But you say, how long do you want your money to last for? And most people don't have an answer to that because they can't conceptualize that and look 30, 40, 50 years into the future. And that's where I come into play.
And okay, because that's a great segue there. So with working with a financial advisor, right? Then that there's different financial advisors. Obviously, you already did a little bit of who you really love to work with, but what goes into selecting a financial advisor? What should people look for? What compatibilities?
Gosh, there's so much that goes into this. Number one, I would recommend looking for a fiduciary. We are fiduciaries, and what that means in simple terms is we need to do what's in your best interest and provide you options to choose what's going to be in your best interest. That's one. I would always ask what your cost is, because there's so many different ways that an advisor could charge cost. It could be for time. It could be under your assets. They could have a commission. You have to ask how they get paid.
Okay.
Definitely ask that question. And I would recommend, depending on what phase of life you're in, if you're a millennial, find an advisor or a group of advisors who specialize in millennials. If you're 50 or older and you want to start creating a retirement income plan, I'm happy to help someone with that. That's what I love doing the most. And I would say interview multiple advisors.
Okay.
Just like anything else, like interview 2 of them, 3 of them, and see which one you feel comfortable with. That's important. Follow your instincts, follow your gut, And if they can't answer those simple questions about being a fiduciary and what are your costs,
How do you get paid?
how do you get paid? Right. And I'm super transparent with that. We'll tell people up front exactly how we get paid.
Mhm.
So there's no questions. We don't want any issues with that. And I think that's so important.
I think that might be the third book. What do you think?
It could be. I'd be happy to work on that. That'd be fun. Because there is so much that goes into this. I think that's why it's hard
It
to
is
plan
hard.
for your financials, because there's so many different ways to do things. There's so many different funds and ETFs and stocks and bonds, all these different investment vehicles. And that's why working with a professional who's going to be looking out for your best interest is so crucial. Let them do the homework.
Well, again, if you go back to what is your time worth, right? And also how to make your money work for you. You went through a lot of school and obviously a lot of experience to be where you are. Then go to a professional, but ask questions.
Yes, questions are good. I love questions. Those are your best friend. And don't be afraid to, because it's your money. Like, ladies and gentlemen, like, it's your money. You are entitled to ask questions. Don't be fearful. It is okay to pick up the phone and say, you know what, I'd like to have a meeting with you, or just have an introductory meeting where you spend 30 minutes together and see if you actually like each other.
Mm-hmm.
See if it's a good fit. Ask about values. Ask what is important to you, and ask about personal things in your personal life and what do you value. That goes a long way, is when you're able to listen to one another and see if you're a good fit. Please do that if you don't have an advisor. And if you're looking for help, interview a couple advisors or ask your friends and family with whomever they work with.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to get to so at the end of the book, there was the absolute resource of all the books that you've read. There was somebody on there that it just made me smile. So you had Dr. Seuss on there.
Ah, yes. Yep. I mean, reading is such a passion for me. My wife always jokes with me. She said, are you going to clear the books off the side table next to our bed? Because I have a pile of books there. I always do. And that's where I read sometimes before going to bed, or if we have some free time in between work or meetings. So I have to tell you, there's always books all around our house. I could tell you there's some on our table, on our island in the kitchen, next to my bed. I mean, they're everywhere. And my wife, God bless you, I love you. I drive her nuts with that. But I love having them out because when I see them, it encourages me to read. And again, going back to being kids, we were meant to have fun and enjoy our lives. And when we become adults, it becomes harder. But if you get your financials in order, I think that's a huge stress you're able to take off your plate. And if you're less stressed, you should be happier. And if you're less stressed, you should be making progress, and progress leads to happiness. So it has a huge effect on us. We just don't realize it.
I love it. So again, your company is Bloom Financial, right? And you're out of Chicago. How can people find out where you are? Let's tell them where the book is. And for goodness sakes, let's find out absolutely how powerful the journal is with the new book.
Yes. So our company's website is the best way to get a hold of us. All of our information's there. And the website is www.bloomfinancialco.com. That's bloomfinancialco.com. And we have all sorts of tools there. We do retirement planning workshops. We have the Retire as You Desire scorecard that could show you if you're mentally ready to retire, because that's a big part of things too, that most people don't take into consideration. And the new book is on Amazon right now. And it is.
Hold on a second. Tell them that also that you got another day that you held over that's ridiculous dollar price jumping in for that. How cool is that?
Yes. So it's still available on Amazon. Thank you for reminding me. For $1. And the book is called Money Habits for Success. And we've paired that with Your Money Journal. And that's on Amazon as well. And the journal is an actual book. I have it here.
So good. I want to see it.
Let me get it.
And tell them why when you read the book, you absolutely understand, like, oh my God, I need to get the journal. But tell them the pairing and what that was all about.
Absolutely. So the Your Money Journal, see, it's a really small guide, but you're able to take what you're spending your money on. You write it down. And we also have an introduction in here, but you're also able to write in like what your money goals are. So every single day, you're able to keep track of, okay, I spent money on this. But you could also put in here, I spent money on investing. You could say, I bought something that could hopefully make me money in the future. It's not just all like spending in a negative way. It's saying, okay, I put $100 into my investment account today. Keep track of that. Keep track of your 401ks if you have one. How much did you put in this month?
Yeah.
Start understanding what you're doing. That's the whole purpose.
Okay. And again, so the book from start to finish, it's not just another financial book. It's really just a useful tool. And then the journal enables you to put that into practice right away. Right?
Absolutely. You said that very, very well. Thank you.
Okay, good. Listen, first of all, I'm so glad to have met and have you within the Rising Star Book Club circle and family. And congratulations. And also, thank you. Thank you for really standing for people to take back their control and take back their lives and gain some freedom and some fun.
Well, Maureen, I'm super grateful to be on your show. I'm super grateful to have been able to met you. And the book and the journal, please take the time to read it. I'm so happy that it's released and available. It's been a labor of love during this pandemic of writing the book late into the nights. And please use the money journal. If you're going to do anything, take action with the money journal. That's really the key here. The book is the education, the journal is the application. So please enjoy it. And I would love to hear your feedback as well.
Okay, great. Listen, everyone, it's Bill Bloom. Congratulations again. We will be seeing you some other time and in no other books, definitely in the future. And thank you for standing as a leader through generosity.
It's my pleasure, Maureen. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.